Hi everybody, it's been a little while since I've done a new pen day video with you. I think it was September is the last time I did it, and then I had a September currently inked where I also talked about a new pen or two then. And I think that was also the last currently inked video I did, if I'm not mistaken, because I've been kind of doing this experiment where I just use the pens up as I go instead of emptying them out. And some of the colors I really liked with the pens, and so I've just kept refilling them. Anyhow, I thought I would do a new pen day video with you guys because I haven't shown you these before, and then also do a little bit of a pen review, because usually when I do my pen day videos, I am just showing you the pen, I'm inking it up, I'm writing with it briefly. However, all of these I've had inked up for these for like 2 months, and these, well, this one, a couple of months, and I'll go through that when we get to each pen. And so I can kind of tell you the stuff that I like and I don't like, although I will preface all of that with the fact that I'm not a professional pen reviewer. This is just my own personal preference and how I've felt about using these pens. You guys may be completely different, so your mileage may vary. All right, that said, let's get into these. I think working from right to left, because this one's a kind of special one. This was a big purchase. Also, right before this video, I decided to refill 2 of these because they were getting low and I wanted to do a writing sample. And so, no good deed goes unpunished. I have ink all over my hands. That's where that came from. All right, let me set up and we'll get started. All right, what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to kind of unbox the pens, which honestly, it feels a little silly to have put the pen back in the box in order to unbox it, but you know, just give you the whole experience here. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to unbox each one of these, and then I'm going to go back through and give writing samples of each one with the inks that they currently have in them. This is the Esterbrook Niblet. I really fought getting this pen for a long time because I love my Kaweco Sports. However, I was at one of the, well, the only local stationery shop that we have here, and someone had one, and I love the Raven color, and I haven't been able to get an Estie in it, and they had it in a mini stub, and that mini stub, they let me write with it, and I think I became addicted, because you're going to see when we do the Esterbrook Estie, that one's also a mini stub. I really liked it. I also get frustrated when pens don't have clasps because they will roll across my desk. So I really appreciate the fact that this has kind of like a roll stop. So it slows down and then it stops. I've winged pens way off my desk before. This one also is really light and it kind of has an interesting texture and feel to it. I think it's just because it's the Raven. I don't know if you can hear this. Well, here, they do it with the microphone. Can you hear that? Okay, so it has an interesting feel and sound to it. And then I think that a lot of people have already reviewed these. They've been out for a little while, but I really appreciate the fact that this nib is huge. Look how big this nib is compared to this pen. But when you actually screw the back on, which I don't feel bad about doing on this one, it actually looks the size it's supposed to. And yeah, these pens are just so fun to write with. I know there was a little bit of controversy around them about style copy, something like that. I'm not gonna get into all of that world, but here's the first pen, and then let's unbox the rest of them, and then I'll go through and I'll do a writing sample of each one of those. All right, confession time. I moved the pen boxes off my desk, and now I don't remember what order they were in, so I have no idea if I'm still going right to left, but here's the Benu. So this one is a Benu Haute in the Decadence color. I didn't feel like putting it back into this cardboard thing. It didn't come with one of the pleather cases, sleeves this time. But I didn't feel like putting it, so I just put it right back in there. This one was a complete and total impulse buy on my half because I did not go to the store looking to get a new pen, but I saw this coloring and just went insane. I love this, the way this looks so much. And you can see right in here, you have like a purple blue shimmer. Oh, it is so pretty. Plus, it has a flex fine nib, which I haven't had one of those in a Benu yet. So that's been really interesting to write with. So this one is a joy. I don't post these, but the Benu pens fit my hand so well. They weight very nicely. Okay, let's see what's next. All right, up next we have a Lamy Aion. This is the first one I have of this style from Lamy. Lamy for me is really an interesting brand because I absolutely love their safaris, but the grip gives me a hand cramp after a while. But I even kind of love the inconsistencies a little bit in the nibs. And the Lamy 2000 I really like, but I have to put a special nib on it in order to use it because I can't find that right fine point when I'm trying to write. I actually use an oblique medium on that one. And so I wanted to try one of their different styles. And this one right here is really interesting. It's such a vivid and pretty color. Look at this. This one my foam is cracking me up. This one is a really pretty color, and I don't know if you watched my video of that one pen I got that was like a frosted color. That pen has the same kind of feel. I'm going to pull it to the mic again. Can you hear this? It's almost like so finely milled that it feels like velvet, I guess. It's a little on the heavy side for me, so I haven't super loved writing with it, just because it's heavier and my hand tends to fatigue easy because I death grip the pens. But overall, I really like it, and it's also a snap cap, which is really convenient when I use it as a work pen. All right, up next we have what ended up being my third Esterbrook Estie. I have a Esterbrook Estie in Quirky Leaf, that green color with a scribe nib. And I also have the Coffee Monster Co. Esterbrook Estie with a journaler nib. And this one, I'll bet you'll never guess what nib this has. Yeah. If you guessed a mini stub, you'd be right, because I loved the mini stub on this guy so much that I wanted a full-size pen with it. And I'm trying really hard not to buy another mini stub. I think it's a problem now. I might have to sell some pens to, I don't know, whatever. I'm just really loving the mini stub for some reason. Anyway, this one is absolutely gorgeous. It's been around for a while. Nothing special, like never before seen on these though. But this feels perfect in my hand as well. I really, really, really like this guy. Okay, last but not least, this guy, who also happens to be the absolute most expensive pen in this entire lineup. And I will confess that if it wasn't for the Atlas Stationer Sidewalk sale that they had, I would not have purchased this because it is pricey. This is right up there with my most expensive Sailor Pro gear I have, which is the Yoseka Origin one. But I always wanted an Aurora fountain pen, and so this was my Christmas gift to myself. Yeah, so here we go. This box is very, very heavy, but it's kind of cool though. So like if you open it this way, you can see that this flap comes down, and then you can get into the pen box. I'll go ahead and take this box out, which is the heaviest part. You can see it's pretty sturdy. And then the pen is under here. And so the cool thing about this guy is not only is it an Aurora fountain pen, but it's also got a goccia nib. And so that's been really interesting to write with. And when we get into the writing samples, I'll talk more about my experience with that. Okay, a quick word about the supplies I'll be using. So this is my Sterling Ink Common Planner. I just use the back blank pages for things like this. This right here is a stamp from the Paper Mouse, which is really cute. I don't think I've used this one on the channel yet. And I used this ink here, this Sachihara ink stamp, Silver Gray, I believe, is this one. And so you can see it's got pretty fine lines, but it is super cute. I just didn't want it to like scream at the page. Also, I'll be using my Kakimori steel nib here to kind of color these in, and I will do the writing sample over here on the side. I was really torn about the writing sample for this one because the last time I used a Jim Butcher book and kind of did the back of it, but now I have 5, and the new Jim Butcher book that came out, 12 Months. I don't have a physical copy. I only have it on audiobook. Plus, I still haven't read it. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to be a dork. And I think I'm going to pick a BTS song, since I'm so hyped about the BTS tour and the album and everything that goes along with it. And then just slowly write out the lyrics. I was looking up some of their ones that are in English, and so I think I'm going to do Dynamite. I think that's good. Maybe it'll encourage some of you guys who haven't listened to it before to listen to it. It will look a little odd written down without the music, I think, maybe. So just keep that in mind. that was fun, huh? I stepped away for a little bit to let these dry, and then suddenly it's days later because sometimes it's like that. Some quick little updates, things that I did. I realized after I got done that I didn't put the actual ink name here in case you guys were interested in them. I'm not going to go in depth a lot on the inks because most of these I've already color swatched. I also noticed that I had a little typo right there. Also, why do we still call it typo when we're writing? Wouldn't it be like scripto or writo? Okay, I don't. Moving on. So we had Warringal Hades and then the Endless Alchemy Obsidian Sun. Most of these looked good, except I don't know what happened when I was swatching this ink in particular, but it didn't record. So I think I stopped recording, did it, and then hit record. So whatever, we're not here for ink, we're here for pens. Okay, so I realized the video was a little bit fractured, I guess is the word that I want to use here, because I gave you a quick little intro at the beginning, said that I was going to do a color swatch, and then now I plan on talking about them. So now I'm going to put the name of the pen somewhere on the screen magically. That's for editing Heather to do, as well as where I got it and the price as we talk about the writing samples. I also realized if you watched the snippet in between where I was writing, there was a lot of really blurry moments, and that's because the autofocus, if I don't put the paper in the right spot where the pen isn't out of the middle of the screen, it just has a really hard time. So sorry for that as well, but that's why I put a jump to at the beginning. That's enough rambling. You ready to go? All right, this first one is the writing sample for this Aurora pen, which I believe is said it's an Optima and it's Auroloide is the colorway, maybe? And then I say gotcha nib. I hope that's correct. If you've been here, you know that my pronunciation is total crap, really, most of the time. But anywho, this pen I had mentioned, I really like the size of it. I like the weight of it. I like the look of it. And I had immediate buyer's remorse when I first purchased it because of the price of this pen and the ink that I put in it. So the ink that I had put in it, like I said, was Robert Oster Wind. And I don't know if it, like I said, if it's the color of the ink that I don't like, or if it was just too light or something. But once I changed it into the Sailor 123 or the Sailor Ink Studio 123, I really started loving this pen. I don't know if I love it as much as I paid for it, but I do like the fact that it's kind of like having 3 pens in one because of the nib. So let's take a look at this. All right. Actually, I think maybe zooming in is a better way to go here versus constantly holding it up. Okay, so with this writing sample, I did, the way the nib works is that if you write on a normal, I tend to write kind of low, but you can write this way, you can write a little bit higher, and then you can write really high, and you get different widths of your ink. It's really good at showing shading and stuff like that too. So also I realize it's so silly that I did music lyrics, and if you don't know this song, this reads really funny, but it's a great song. It's really catchy. I was actually listening to it while I was writing. Anywho, so you can see that this is really bold here. And then this one was held up high and this one was about medium. So now I'll give you a close up and you can see the difference in the widths. So the long story short for this pen is I've really grown to love it. I don't know if I would spend this much money again. I would probably just try to find a different steel nib that kind of did the same thing. Because I have the Scribe in the Estie and I also have the Journaler, and you can kind of do some of that stuff with them. But it is a good buy and it is a nice size. So like for instance, if you are familiar with the Sailor Pro Gears, the regular size, not the slims, it's just a hair smaller than it. And I would say that it is lighter. It is lighter than this pen here. And it actually has more ink in it, so it's not the ink. Okay, that is my official review for that. So long story short, if you have the money, check it out. If you don't, you're not really missing too much. Just hold your pen differently. This one, if you didn't watch the writing portion, the portion I sped up, then you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But most of these downstrokes, especially the ones that are brighter, darker rather, it's because the first downstroke had no ink. And I wouldn't call it railroading, because usually when it railroads, you can see like kind of the outlines like this. But this just does nothing. And I don't know, like I said in the beginning, I don't know if it's the nib, like there's something wrong with the nib here, or the inks, because both inks that I tried in it are shimmer, which is why I usually try to do my first ink not being shimmer, but I had Benus before, so I thought it was just fine to just jump right in. But yeah, this Benu, I love the look of it. I think I'm going to have to mess with the nib some. Also, I don't know if you can tell this, and this is only drives me nuts because I'm a little OCD, if you haven't caught on to that yet. And it is, can you see, all right, so it's a square, essentially, right? You kind of see how it's a square. The squares here and here don't line up anymore. Can you see how it's just slightly off, and I would have to kind of really tighten it to get it to line up? How can I show you this? Like, I have to go to get it to fit. Now it's like really tight, so when I go to undo it, you have to really force it. Isn't that weird? Like, I feel like there's just something slightly off with the milling of the threads, maybe. It's not a make or break it. I just tend to over tighten it a smidge so that it lines up better. Maybe you can see. Can you see? Oh my gosh, this is just a focusing nightmare. If you look here, as I move this pen around, you can see the gaps where the square doesn't meet up unless I turn it and then it meets more flush. So I don't know, maybe it's just a Heather thing. Anywho, I need to really deep clean this nib because I don't see anything wrong with it, like immediately wrong with it, but maybe it just needs to be, I'm gonna take something and go through the thread here and see if that does anything. But I don't know. I hope I can fix it because I love Benus. I love writing it with it. It is a great size, as it is a great weight. It is fun to play with when it works. The other thing that was frustrating is that I had already kind of pre-primed this one. I'd pushed more ink into it to make sure that it would write nicely because I had been struggling with it. But it still had some issues. So you can see it. See all these darks like in the getting right here? I'd write and then it would nothing and then go again. So that was kind of frustrating. This ink though has pretty shimmer. It's picking up. That's pretty nice. Okay, next we have the Esterbrook Estie and the one that I made the little typewriter on. So I'm not new to Esterbrook Esties. I like them. In my opinion, they are worth it, especially if you go with the specialty nibs, because I gotta say, I don't have a single non-specialty nib Esterbrook Estie. So I can't comment on the things like the fines, the mediums, the broads, even a stub, I can't. But I can tell you the scribes, the journalers, and the mini stubs are just perfect. I love them. And this is just, I didn't think I'd like this pen, the colorway, but I really do. And it's a very nice pen. It's one of those things that if you aren't familiar with them, it has a spring in the tip, so you kind of have to push and then turn, and I always forget that I do that, so I'll sit here and I'll try to do it. Oh well, I don't know. I'm just rambling. So this pen writes great, feels great. If you want something a little different, I highly recommend the mini stub because my goodness, I love it. Quick view of the ink and the pretty shimmer. Ooh, okay. So you can see the mini stub writes like a mini stub. So it's definitely got the flat here, and you can do really thin cross lines, which I just realized I didn't do that here. So you know what? Let me go ahead and do a little bit of real-time writing. I didn't catch that I didn't have those. So let's check that out. Let's go. That's without much pressure at all. And then you can see how fine the side to side goes. It's just such a fun pen. I love it. I love the mini stub. They're just so nice. So you can check it out. It kind of reminds me of a Scale Leather sells an they call it a soft dental, which is an architect, and it kind of feels like that, except that one puts out way more ink. This is a very controlled amount of ink. It's very nice. Okay, next we'll take a look at the second page. All right, last two. I'm just going to say, I know I said I wouldn't take a moment to like look at these inks, but I don't think I ever really did show the Wearing Goldhades, except for maybe in the March Ink Madness. But it is just, man, how did I forget about this ink? It is so pretty with that blue shimmer. So nice. All right, so this is the Lamy Aion. This is the one that has that velvety kind of feel to it. Like I said in the beginning, it's a little on the heavier side. It is metal, which gives me a weird feeling. I have a weird thing with that. Like there's even regular pens, like this Uniball Zinto. These come with metal bottoms, and I'm selling them because I can't stand you would think I'd like it, but I think my nails hit it or something, and it's just, I don't know. It's not a good vibe. Not a good feeling there for me. Okay, so anywho, other than that, really great. I did originally get it in a fine, and it was way too fine. So I moved it to a medium. The medium is borderline a little too thick, but I do really like this pen. It wasn't very expensive, so I suggest checking it out if you want to check out a Lamy without the little triangle grip, and if you're a fan of slightly heavier pens. So if we take a look at the writing sample here, nothing much to see special. It's just a pretty medium. It writes really well. I would say it was borderline a wet nib, maybe just a little bit. But it's really good. I like it. And then we have this guy, which I said at the beginning is what kicked off this obsession with the mini stubs. I realized also when I was writing with it, I didn't post it. And at the beginning of the video, I was like, oh, I like posting this pen. I just forgot. That's how my brain works sometimes. I do really like this pen. And the interesting thing about this is I thought for sure with this material, it would end up showing fingerprints a lot. And I don't know what kind of magic it is that it doesn't show that, but that's pretty neat. This pen has been really good. It hasn't had any problem. You can see how much shimmer is in that ink, and it hasn't had a single problem, hasn't clogged at all. This is a very shimmer heavy ink. They call it Stardust version, so you can see how much shimmer is hanging out in there, and it's been perfect. And the mini stub lets a lot of that shine through perfectly. Let's see if I can try to get it where you can see. It's hard to see on the viewfinder if you're picking up exactly how golden the writing. Oh, it looks like I caught it right there just a little bit. Okay, yeah, so controversy aside on this particular model, I would say if you're interested in it, I don't think you'll regret it. It's really fun, especially, again, if you do the specialty nibs. I will say, though, I will say the worst thing about this guy is the converter. Hands down, one of the worst converters ever. It's right up there with the vanishing point converter because, oh my God, that thing is annoying. This one is you push down, pull up. There's no twisting at all. And for the life of me, I couldn't get good seals half the time when I was doing that. And I just resorted to using a syringe and then filling it back up. This is a very, very annoying converter, I will say that. But I just compared it to the vanishing point one. It's not as bad as that one, but it is not fun. Whereas like the Kavekos have a very similar thing, but those are really good. So I don't know, maybe it's just the pen I got or whatever, but I really like it. And it's not showing oil from my fingers or scratches really. So it's coming out really nice. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those ones that stays inked for quite a while. All right. So not too bad. Not as long as video as I thought it was going to be, but here are the pens that I just reviewed. If you guys have any additional questions about any of them, just let me know. And I can answer them in the comments. Although, you know, it's interesting. I have been answering a lot of comments lately and no one replies. And so I'm wondering if you guys don't get notified when I answer a comment, or if just everybody's just like, oh, okay, cool, got it. And then they never say anything. So let me know if, leave a comment, and if I reply to it, if you guys actually get a notification. Okay, that's it. Thanks for staying. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, please thumbs up and consider subscribing. And then also with that new thing, please hit the hype button. It'll help me out. I appreciate it. See you in the next one. Bye.